book nerds, this is Gabby and today we are talking about statistics. Today, like I said, we are talking about all of the stats from 2021. So as you may know, I have a book tracking spreadsheet that I've got from Hoard by Hoarder. So I'm going to link that spreadsheet down below if you're interested doing it this year. But this tracks how many pages, how many hours, how many books, how many genres, everything pretty much. Tracks everything. So we're going to talk about all of my stats. I'm so excited. I don't know if this is going to be at all interesting, but I love stat videos. Like, I love watching them and I love talking about all of my stats. So we're gonna do that. So that's gonna be first part of the video, and then I'm gonna just quickly reflect on some goals I set for myself in 2021, see if we met those goals, see if we didn't, and see what we need to improve. For everything there will be timestamps below so you can see what interests you, and let's kick it off. So in 2021, I have read exactly 120 books, which I feel is very good. Last year, I read 121 books, so I guess we did one worse, but I actually prefer 120 as a number. My goal was 100, so I knew I could probably hit that because I did it the year prior, but it was also a pretty crazy year and I was busy. So, you know, I'm still impressed that I managed to do that while working full-time and all of that. So thank you to audiobooks, really. You've contributed, that's for sure. Let me scooch over so you can see properly. Okay, what do we talk about first? So I have read 31,174 pages, which sounds insane, and listened to 398 hours of audiobooks. Crazy. I read 120 books and only 3 of those were rereads, so that was the whole Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy. I guess let's talk about reading a month. So this is the graph. As you can see, there was a big dip. So in September, I read only 5 books. That was my worst month. And when it comes to best month, we have July and December both at 12 books. So I would say it was more normal for me to read around 10 books, maybe September being an only outlier, and then April was only 7. So overall, I would say this is very good. I didn't have a massive dip, but I'm pretty sure last year September was also my worst month with 3 books. So I don't know what happens in September, but I'm having a rough time. I think that's because you're coming off holidays or whatever, and I also had a really busy time at work. 5 is better than 3, so my worst this year was better than my worst last year, so I'm fine with that. And I love looking at this graphs because it just goes up, and that's lovely to see. Then we have format of the book. As you can see in the graph, I read 38% audio and 39% ebooks, so they were almost tied, and then physical is 22.5. So I read least physical books because I don't have that many books, I don't have space, and I didn't really go to the library this year. Since COVID, I really didn't go to the library too much, although I do live right next to a library this year, so I am gonna go. That means that books I read with my eyeballs still were large majority, but nearly 40% was audiobooks. So that's what I'm saying. My success can be owed to audiobooks. I love audiobooks. I have Scribd. That's how I consume my audiobooks, but I also have Libby, which is free, and if your library uses Libby, you can listen to audiobooks from your library. It has a wait time, so that's the drawback. For me, Scribd is enough. I don't have Audible because I think it's expensive, but next up we have genres. 44.2% YA, and then surprisingly 51.7% is adult, which is amazing because last year, if I look at the chart, it was YA 49% and then adult was 38%. So I definitely felt that I was reading more adult. It wasn't on purpose or anything. I don't think so, at least. I don't remember saying any. I did say I wanted to read more adult, and it's been very good to me. I think most of my favorite books were, maybe not most, but probably about half of my favorite books of the year were adult. So it's really good to see. Actually, I'm gonna put a number so you can see how many of my favorites were adult books, but it's really cool to see. I'm definitely evolving as a reader, finding out what I like. Something that's been very inspiring for me has been watching Kayla from Books and Lala, because she's just so not adamant, but she's very precise about her reading taste and finding them, and that's how she looks at every opportunity, reading, to just find out more about yourself. And I feel like I've been doing that, so I've been picking up what I like, and I've been really reluctant to just pick something up because it's popular. I mean, I've done it, definitely. I'm not saying I didn't, but it's usually not the sole reason. If I really don't think I like it, I just don't pick it up. Then something new that I was tracking was whether there were any LGBTQ plus characters in the story, and I only counted it if it was one of the main characters. It doesn't have to be one of the two main characters, but if I consider an ensemble cast and there were some queer characters in like ensemble, then I also counted it, but that would have to mean they're kind of important to the story and they're at least secondary important characters. And it's good to see that it's 38.3% LGBTQ plus books. So 61%, almost 62 still didn't have any LGBTQ plus characters. So I think that nearly 40% is really good and I'm really happy with that. Like, I'd love to maybe increase it even a little bit more next year, maybe 50-50, but 40 is really good. I didn't track this last year, but I definitely don't think I was doing as well as I did this year. So it's awesome to see. Next up, we have source, or where the books were from, 51%, but this could mean I own it physically or I own it as an ebook. Then we have script being 34%, which is really good because I'm spending money on it, so it's good to see that I'm using it. And then smaller percentages, I got a fair bit from NetGalley because I was catching up on some arcs later this year. And then we have some borrowed books, some library books. Those were mostly Libby, and then a couple of them were gifts, so that was nice. Oh, I definitely didn't track gift properly, now I'm realizing. Oh well. I think something that is important to track here would be also like books I owned prior to this year, because I bought a lot of new releases and I read them right away. But it was still good to see that I read the books I bought, I guess. I really need to keep track of that. Next up is type of publication. So for this we have 75.8% being traditional, and then indie being, I can't see percentages, so we're going to talk about books. Traditional, 91 books I read, indie, 21 books I read, and self-published were 8, which, you know, isn't the worst split. Definitely want to check out some more indie and some self-published books because I found some really good ones. I'm still pretty happy. You know, at least it's not like 90 or something, so I'm still reaching out a little bit. Fun one. So this one's series stats, so it's whether a book is a series, companion, standalone, and I'm so happy to see that 50% of the books I read were standalones. 50%, which is unheard of for me because I usually read series, but I've been having so much fun with just standalones. You know, you read it, it makes a big impact and you let it go, and I'm enjoying that. But then 40% were still part of the series, and some of the remaining ones were companion novels. So yeah, 40% series, probably all of those I started new series, which is something I need to work on because I was terrible this year at actually finishing any of the series. But still, lovely to see 50% standalones. So I have a lot of books to recommend for a standalones recommendation video. I need to do that. Let's talk about genres, shall we? So 53.8% was a fantasy. We're not surprised. I am mainly a big fantasy reader, but I think I read a lot of diverse fantasy because when you zoom into fantasy, you can see the subgenres. 48% of that was high fantasy books. The second biggest was historical fantasy. Surprising, but I did love it, 16%. Then we have low fantasy, which is 12.9%. Some of this fell apart because I was trying to like digest what each subcategory was, and many books fall into many subcategories, so it was confusing. But then we have portal fantasy, urban fantasy, paranormal fantasy, and it was all a good time, so that's great to see. If we're back on the genres, second most popular genre was thrillers with 9.4%. Then we have horror with 7.7%. Contemporary with 6%. Oh, also sci-fi, or is this magical rose? Yeah, sci-fi with 8%. So that's really good to see. What's not good to see is nonfiction, because I wanted to read one nonfiction a month. So that's 12. I read 5. It's more than I thought I did. I must have read that in the first half of the year because I don't remember reading those. I'm really upset because I really want to do better, and I actually did pretty well last year. I think I had like 11 nonfictions or something. No, sorry, 8. But it's still better than 5. But yeah, oh well, what are you gonna do? Something that I've realized this year as well is like I enjoy sci-fi, I enjoy historical fantasy a lot, or like historical fiction, but not just straightforward. It has to be like some kind of twist. I am reading Red Palace this month, and I'm very excited because that's a historical fiction, but it's like a thriller crime solving, and that sounds amazing. So that kind of vibe is mine. And also horror, which I didn't realize, but I went on such a horror kick. I was enjoying it so much. So I definitely want to read more horror next year. I know that's apparently a genre that really works for me. I always loved thrillers, always love mystery, so none of those are surprises. I read very few romances, only 3 this year, and I read 3 anthologies, which is surprising because I never read anthologies. With all of that, let's talk about were the books actually any good. So this is my star ratings breakdown. So it's wonderful to see that the biggest percentage of stars is 5 stars. I gave the most 5 stars. So that's 25.8%, which is pretty amazing. I don't know, that's 31 books out of 120 that I read that were 5 stars, which is amazing. I don't think it was that good last year, was it? So last year I gave only 17 5 stars and I read 121 books. So it's staggering, but it really shows that I know my taste a little bit more. I know what I want to pick up, and I've been reading so many new releases, and I think those have been working amazingly. Out of all the dedicated reviews I did, I think majority of them were either on my most surprising or most or best books of 2021, which is insane to see. So that's wonderful. And then I also gave 15% 4.5 stars, so that's 19 4.5s, 25 4 stars, which is really good, 22 3.5 stars, 12 3 stars. So what I would consider like a positive rating, or like I really enjoyed this, probably will remember it, is 3.5. 3 is like it was fine, probably won't remember it, and if it goes below 3 then I really didn't like it. And when you look at it like that, it's kind of insane because I didn't like it was about 8 books. I have not rated 3 of them, which I think probably means they were either non-fiction or something I didn't feel like I could rate amazing reading here. Yes, it was. Next up, let's talk about offer statistics. So these are all about the offers. We talked about books, now it's about the offers. So offer identity, so that's gender identity. In this case, I just want to say this list is not completely perfect because some of these are not mutually exclusive, so it's just to give an idea. I didn't really modify this list in any way, so it's kind of just to give me an idea. So 73% of offers I read were she, her pronouns, 73% he, him. But I am happy to see there's a little bit of more diversity rather than previous year, because 11% of offers I read did not fall into the gender binary, so that's really cool. So I had 1 bi-gender offer, 2 gender fluid, 2 gender queer, 7 that went by they, them pronouns, and 1 transgender offer. So I definitely want to read more transgender offers because I think that's something that would be really good for me. But otherwise I was pretty pleased with this. I think I've done all right. I could definitely do better, but yeah, it's also good to see that female authors are persevering hard in this household. Because was there even 1 book by a man on my best of list? I don't think there was, no. Next up, we have offer race. So this is their race/ethnicity. So 52.5% were white. So I think that's worse than my mid-year check-in because I thought that was like closer to 51%. But you know, it's still good. Last year I said I wanted it to be 50. So I failed a little bit, but not too badly. Second highest with 15% was black offers, then it was 12.5% of Asian offers. I have not read from any Mexican or Pacific Islander offers, so that's definitely something I'd want to correct. Next up is offer status. So this is whether this was their debut, have I read them before, were they new to me? Pretty good split. 42.5% were new to me, which makes sense because I read so many new releases. 20% was their debut, and 36%, nearly 37%, I've read before, which is also pretty decent. Then we have offer nationality. So majority were American, then second biggest was British and Canadian, but I'm surprised there's so few British, but it makes sense. It's just like statistically what I can pick up, and this makes sense. But I was happy to see that some of the offers were from different countries as well, so that was really cool. That's it from my personal Excel spreadsheet, but I did want to have a good look at Goodreads, see what they're saying. They're actually saying I read 45, almost and a half thousand pages, but I think that's because not all editions were right, because sometimes I was on ebook or whatever. But yeah, shortest book I read was 39 pages, and that was Riding into the Wound by Roxane Gay. And the longest was A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas, which was 768 pages. The average book length in 2021 was 378 pages, which like a normal big book, so I'm happy with that. And most popular was Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, with many people shelving it. And least popular was Weep Woman Weep, with only 406 people who shelved it, which is atrocity, because Weep Woman Weep was so much better than Addie LaRue, and I think it was what Addie LaRue tried to be. So my average rating is 4.1. I mean, it's so high. I feel like I'm such a terrible reviewer because I'm just like, this book is brilliant. But like, it was. I just know my own taste. Highest rated of the books I read was Are Violent the Lies. My first review of the year was Queen of Vaults. That's good. And I think those are all the stats. So now we are done with the stats. I hope you enjoyed that part. I just wanted to check in on some goals. So these are just some things I said in my video last year, and I thought I maybe want to talk about it a little. So I said I wanted to read over 100 books. I've succeeded. So I said I wanted to read more genres, and I read 14 genres in 2020. So I said I wanted more. I feel like I failed. So I read 13 genres this year. I feel like maybe percentage-wise though, it was lower last year, but I read many contemporaries, which I don't even like contemporaries. So I would say maybe I didn't read more genres broadly, but I definitely within the genres, I tried different subgenres, and I also figure out which one I actually like, which is horror. You know, I like sci-fi now. What types of sci-fi horror, like that kind of thing was important for me to figure out. So I'm not upset, I'm fine. Then author identity, I used to be 63% white authors, and I wanted to get that to 50. I didn't quite, but I'm like 52.5. So, you know, it's progress, it's good. Next year we can do even better. And I said I wanted to try new adult and more middle grade. I tried some new adult. I read, 5 books that were new adult. I didn't read even a single middle grade this year. So I would call that a failure then. And now those were all the reading goals. For channel goals, I said I wanted to hit 1K, which I didn't in subscribers, I mean. But I went from 570 at the time I filmed that video, which was in January 2021. And now I'm at 880, which is still really good growth. I'm really happy with that, and I feel like people have been more engaged with the videos, which is even more important. And I said I wanted to post at least twice a week, different types of videos. I don't know if I succeed in different types of videos, but I definitely figured out some things that really work for me and for my channel. So the Decatur reviews, you know, those turned out to be like my most enjoyable to record. I really love talking about a single book and like giving it my all. It's hard if I don't have too much to say, but if I do, it's wonderful. And they're the most popular on my channel as well, so that's really great to see. And I did post twice a week for a whole year. I'm pretty sure I missed maybe 1 or 2, but I did 3 videos the other week, so I feel like that made up for it. So I'm very happy. Now, do we have any 22 goals? It'd be good to hit that 1K. I'd be really happy to do that. Otherwise, I'm happy with my reading. I just want to keep improving, you know, more genders, more ethnicity, more genres, or like maybe more specific about genres. But I could not call this year a failure because it was just such a good year. You saw how many 5 stars I gave. You saw how many, my average star rating was 4.1. It was just such an amazing year. I had so much fun reading. I feel like I found some of my all-time favorites, which is wonderful to say and to just feel. So I've been very happy. Yeah, I'm very happy. I have no complaints. This video is a part of my end of year series, so I talked about my most disappointing, my most surprising, best books of 2021. I have a video coming up which is gonna talk about the end of year tag/survey from Kayla. And yeah, it's all gonna be in a playlist, so if you're interested, check it out. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope I didn't bore you to death with statistics, but I love statistics, so hopefully you do too. If you enjoyed the video, if you could comment, like, and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. It really helps me out. But that's it from me, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!